This presentation is about school law and students with special needs. It's done by Michelle Hagan, Leah Wright, and Kyle Bowling. The questions we'd like you to consider as we go through this presentation are: number 1, what are the basic principles of IDEA? Number 2, what variety of students are covered under Section 504? Context for the history of school law concerning students with special needs. There's been an evolution from intolerance and outright abuse to the thoughtful education of individuals with disabilities in modern times. In the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, litigation and legislation began to have a significant impact on the field of special education. In the interest of time, I will briefly touch on the cases. Brown v. Board of Education famously concluded that separate is not equal. After the decision in Brown, parents of children with disabilities began to bring lawsuits against their school districts for excluding and segregating children with disabilities. In 1965, Congress enacted the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, ESEA, to address the inequality of education opportunity for underprivileged children. During the early 1970s, 2 cases were major catalysts for change: Pennsylvania Association for Retarded Children versus Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, also known as PARC, and Mills versus the Board of Education of District of Columbia. PARC dealt with the exclusion of children with mental handicaps from public schools. Mills involved the practice of suspending, expelling, and excluding children with disabilities. In 1974, the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, is enacted, allowing parents to have access to all personally identifiable information collected, maintained, or used by a school district regarding their child. Before 1975, children with disabilities were mostly denied an education solely on the basis of their disabilities. Then EHCA is enacted, along with some key Supreme Court cases mandating all school districts to educate students with disabilities. Recent litigation and legislation. In 1990, the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, is enacted. ADA adopts the Section 504 regulations as part of the ADA statute. In turn, numerous 504 plans for individual students start to become more commonplace in school districts. That same year, the EAHCA is amended and now called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA. In 1997, IDEA is reauthorized and amended so students with disabilities are included on state and district-wide assessments. Also, regular education teachers are now required to be members of the IEP team. In 2001, No Child Left Behind is enacted. In 2004, IDEA is reauthorized. There were several changes from the 1997 reauthorization. IDEA is a major law concerning students with special needs.
All right, now we're going to talk about what is IDEA. IDEA is the Individual with Disabilities Education Act. It is the federal law that established the right to free, appropriate public education, FAPE, for all children regardless of the nature or severity of their disabilities. IDEA provides the basis for federal and state regulations and local policies that govern delivery of special education services in public schools. So the 6 basic principles of IDEA are: 1, zero reject, which holds that no student can be denied access to education based upon a disability. Number 2, non-discriminatory evaluations to assure appropriate assessment practices are used when determining students' eligibility for special education and their progress in meeting their educational goals. FAPE and the Individualized Education Plan, IEP, which sets the standards for what constitutes appropriate education for a particular student. Number 4, least restrictive environment, LRE, which holds that delivery of special education services should occur in the general education classroom to the maximum extent appropriate. Number 5, parent and student participation, which requires that parents partner the schools in the processes related to special education. And number 6, the right of students and parents to due process, which provides a grievance procedure when parents and schools disagree about services. What is IEP? IEP, an Individualized Education Plan, is developed for each student who qualifies in special education. The IEP is a written statement that contains many required elements, including information about the student's levels of performance and how the disability impacts progress and participation in the general curriculum. The IEP specifies the time frame and the methods for assessing and reporting student progress. The basic special education process under IDEA are steps 1 through 10. Number 1, child is identified as possibly needing special education and related services. Step 2, child is evaluated. And then step 3, eligibility is then decided. Step 4, child is found eligible for services. Step 5, IEP meeting is then scheduled. Step 6, IEP meeting is held and the IEP is then written. Step 7, services are provided. Step 8, progress is measured and reported to parents. Step 9, IEP is reviewed. And then step 10, child is then re-evaluated.
Now we're going to talk about Section 504, which is a law that casts a wider net when determining who is covered for special education services. So the students that are covered under special education services are students with learning disabilities whose discrepancy between intellectual ability and achievement is not significant enough for IDEA eligibility. Students with low IQ scores but who do not qualify as having a mental handicap. Students with orthopedic problems who do not need special education. Students with health problems such as asthma, epilepsy, and cardiac difficulties, also allergies. And students with communicable diseases such as AIDS and hepatitis. The requirements for teachers under 504 is non-discrimination, which means that students should have equal access to health services, recreational activities, athletics, student employment clubs, specific courses, and field trips. Also, teachers need to use common sense and treat students with disabilities fairly. Second is provision of FAPE, or free appropriate public education. So it needs to be designed to meet the individual educational need of persons with disabilities as well as the needs of non-disabled person, and it needs to be based on adherence to procedural safeguards outlined in the law. Now the steps in the 504 process are first referral, which schools are required to refer students who think they would be eligible for Section 504 services. A committee of knowledgeable individuals will make that determination. Parents or school personnel may also make referrals. Second is evaluation. So if the committee believes that the child would probably be eligible for Section 504, an evaluation of the area of suspected need must be completed in a non-discriminatory procedure. 3, eligibility is determined. 4, accommodation plan will be developed. And 5, the student will be periodically reevaluated. Some example of the accommodations or modifications that can be done in the classroom are seating arrangements, testing or homework modification, use of reader or tape materials, accommodating attendance policy, one-on-one instruction, air purifiers for allergies, staff training, and many more. Now, this is our sources for our project, and thank you everyone, and I hope you have a great day.